the last 2 months, we're going at a full range from class 1 to 10.
Fantastic.
So
it's so amazing how technology has brought relief to teachers.
Every day we are learning new things.
Fantastic.
So we have met Vivek Atray sir several times. He has come to our school several times. And this is the first time we meet. 6 times. Yeah.
6 times? No, 3 times. 3 times.
3 times, yes. No, more than 3, I think.
I
3 or 4 times, yes.
Anyway.
So we are live on YouTube and we are live on Zoom now. Shikha, I'll request you to please mute. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, teachers, principals. Good morning, Vivek. A very quick introduction. My name is Atul Khosla. I am the founder and Pro Vice Chancellor of Shulini University in Solon. Thank you very much for the opportunity today. Vivek is going to take us through a fascinating journey on the topic. All of you know that he's a wonderful, wonderful speaker. So I won't take much time, but I would definitely request all of you to please keep asking questions. There is a comments section. I know you're all aware of Zoom now. We're all experts on technology. So keep asking, keep conversing, and we'll be there to answer all your questions. We'll also show you a couple of videos, which hopefully will bring in a bit of excitement into this discussion. With that, I'll leave it to you, Mr. Philip, if you could give us a 1 to 2 minute introduction, and Vivek after that. Once again, thank you very much. We can't hear you. You're on mute, Mr. Philip. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, fine. Thank you, Mr. Khosla, for providing us this time. Now, because of the lockdown, we are all confined to our own homes. We cannot even go out. But still, we are continuing our classrooms. Classes, I mean, most of the children, 80 to 90% children every day attend the classes, and they, just like they are in the school. Only thing, we have no face-to-face contact. Otherwise, we are regularly in touch with them. We ask their welfare. So it's continuing. And today, we have another fortunate moment. Thank you, Mr. Vivek Atray. You have been talking. Yes, you have been a great inspirational speaker. And this is the 4th time I said you are meeting our teachers, and welcome. And you don't need a special introduction to our teachers. So I hope all the teachers are there listening to him. Now, Mr. Vivek Atray will be talking on the human aspects when we are into the technology side, when we are talking about artificial intelligence. Where does the humanness go? So let's hear from Atray sir, what he has in store, how we go together with this. Imagine an age, a day, only with artificial intelligence. Everyone is robot around us. I cannot imagine that time. Okay, the science has come, science will remain, and we have to cope with artificial intelligence, and it is still we are using a lot of artificial intelligence in our life. Only thing we don't know that it is the same thing. And the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning and so on will increase in our life. But one thing, we cannot lose our humane touch. Okay, sir. Vivek, sir, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Philip. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, meet you, and I enjoy my visits to your school. It's a beautiful school and very vibrant campus atmosphere, and also meeting Mr. Sebi John and you and your colleagues. And students are also very bright. I remember interacting with them. I'm sure the campus will get back to normal life shortly in a few weeks. And it's a pleasure to be speaking on Shulini's platforms. Shulini University is such a beautiful place to go to, and great people to work with. It's a pleasure for me to be a visiting professor and advisor with Shulini. And Atul Khosla, thank you for the welcome and introduction. As always, Shikha, thank you for coordinating this. And it's good to see so many teachers there. I see a large number signed in already. And I remember my interactions with you, you know me. So I don't need to introduce myself. I would go straight to the topic. So the topic is retaining the human element in an era of artificial intelligence. And it is one of my favorite topics. I have spoken to you about emotional intelligence in the past. I've spoken to you on people skills. The thing we're talking about today is slightly different, but slightly the same as well. So what are we looking forward to once the lockdown ends? We are looking forward to meeting people. We are looking forward to someday going back to the state of being that we were in earlier, where people don't have to wear masks, where people can shake hands and meet, and friends can hug each other, and we can go back to being normal human beings as we were. But there are certain changes that are expected, and life is not going to be the same. In any case, life has been very different in the last 20 years compared to any time in history before that. And in the last 20 years, if we look at it, technology has really leapfrogged, and a lot of things are happening today which were not even thinkable in the recent past before that. But it is said that man's imagination is boundless. Humanity can imagine anything. And it is also said that whatever humanity can imagine, science will take humanity there. So if my imagination of a particular thing exists today, that I'm going to be flying around in my personal jet instead of a car, then I probably will be flying around if I'm alive to see that, or at least our children will be using these jets to just get around from here to there. Of course, this virus, this impact has really grounded us, and all of us are wondering how life will go back to normal. But artificial intelligence has anyway been changing our lives a lot. Blended learning is something which education systems have to come to be with, live with, and it is possible now to have a lot of classes online, even when schools open, and even when things go back to being as they were. And these classes are in some ways very productive. They are reaching out to students at their homes, and it is possible for them to take extra classes online. It is possible for them to take hobby classes in music or maybe some other art form or something. And it is also possible to do other things online which are not possible to do in when you meet physically. But blended learning also means that the classroom atmosphere has to also exist. And when, as Mr. Philip said, we meet again and teachers meet the students, that meeting, that interaction is also invaluable. So while I am a technologist, I am also a great advocate of retaining the human experience. And the human experience means that we don't wear a mask, we smile at each other. And when we smile at each other, the eyes meet, the smiles meet, and expressions meet. And then we are able to get across certain communication which even words cannot put together. You are aware that 80% of communication is actually non-verbal. The body language of a person, the kind of eyes or expressions, and the kind of personality that you exude. So there are so many things which can be done only when people meet each other physically. And blended learning means that at least half of the classes or 75% of the classes are actually held in the classroom. And what about friends meeting each other? When we were growing up, we did not have any inhibitions about meeting friends because of any social distancing requirements, or technology had not come in. So we did not have smartphones to distract us. We would spend quality time with our friends, actually talking, actually learning, sharing. And growing up, we were like that. You know it. And you would have had friends who were sounding boards, who shared your emotions and fears and worries and happiness. And you still have those friends. It is often possible not to meet them, but you still share. But growing up with children in the same human environment is very important for kids. And they will then learn more and absolutely be more receptive to what they are learning. So technology is unidimensional in that sense. It does not give emotional intelligence experiences. It does not give exchanges like human beings can have over a cup of coffee, or have in a classroom, or have, let's say, a child is summoned to the principal's office and Mr. Philip is sitting there, and a child who has done something wrong has gone to his office. That experience is not going to be a virtual experience. It has to be that boy walking in with some trepidation into that office, and the principal sitting there with his aura. We remember doing that. And not that I was a naughty boy, but I was in the principal's office once or twice, and it was something to be, I mean, experienced. And I also remember, and I have told this story to a few audiences, that I had somebody called Brother Murray teaching me English in St. John's High School, Chandigarh. And Brother Murray was a very, very strict teacher. I was a new boy from Delhi and I had just shifted to Chandigarh. And in St. John's, there were these boys who were rude and rough and tough at times. And I was not being accepted into their group. And the class was just not very warm towards me. It was initial days. And I remember Brother Murray asked me a question. Not me, he asked the whole class a question. He said, this, he was teaching English. He says, is in the, and it begins with an O. The next word begins with an O. So I said, sir, in the offing. So he said, good boy. When I said in the offing, he said, good boy. Now that good boy remains with me till today. And because he smiled at me, because he was standing there so fearsome in a way, everyone was scared of him, but that personality exuded warmth to me. That human element, that human experience. Actually, the boys then started looking at me in new light, and they realized that this guy is, whatever he is bright. And therefore, I was able to gel with them as well. So that human element going forward has to be retained. What do we need to do to retain these human elements? And once this lockdown and all is over, we will go back to using technology as well as the human experience. But we need to make sure that human beings, that is children and students, are not wedded to technology so much and social media so much that they forget to talk to people. So one of the things that is suffering today is conversation. Conversation of a two-way kind, looking at each other, talking to each other, listening to each other. Listening skills are suffering. And in the artificial intelligence era, we are not really, our span of attention is not very long. It's not very strong. So what happens, even if the computer is buffering or the phone is not going to the next screen, we are impatient. And kids are especially impatient when they're growing up. They don't understand the need to wait. So patience is a virtue which also is going out of the window. And we need to instruct and inspire these children who are growing up to be patient at times. Things cannot always happen at the drop of a hat or at the click of a button. There were times, as you know, when we were growing up, when we would wait and wait and wait. You are waiting for somebody to pick you up at a railway station. It takes time. Here you are, okay, I'm standing over here. My mobile tells me that this person is standing there. My Uber is ready. So these are the things that have changed. And it is very, very important for us to retain that human element in these kids. Otherwise, they will become semi-automatons. You know that artificial intelligence is leading to a stage where our clothes will be adaptable to winters and summers. Biotechnology is enabling that the same clothes you wear will be worn in summers and winters, because the biotechnology will enable those clothes to adapt themselves according to the temperature. And Google is making satellites and balloons which are going to be able to provide internet to those areas in the world where internet is not available. And we were talking yesterday about chips being inserted in the wrist or in the retina, which will make us semi-automatons instead of smartphones. That phone and its technology will be implanted into our bodies. So if we become like that, which is possible in the coming decades, then our kids who are growing up now will become even more wedded to technology. And even today, everything is technology. So will it become so much that, as Mr. Philip said, that we'll have only robots to meet? Will we only meet machines? Will we only talk through our computer or through our phone? Or will we actually interact? And these are things which should worry mankind, because mankind needs people who are balanced, who understand others, and feelings like love and creativity, they have to all be there. They have to really, they are the human elements. Talking of creativity, it is something that human beings can do better than computers even today. And we know that the right side of our brain is used for creativity, the left side of our brain is used for logic and calculation and methodical work. So the right side of our brains are less utilized. You are aware of social emotional learning and creativity, which are lacking in our education system. So we need to inspire kids to think differently, to create more models and projects which are thinking differently, to delve into music and art and the like. That is also very important. And therefore, creativity is something which human beings can do only when they are not wedded to technology. Sometimes it is said that you are sitting under a tree and a great idea came to you. You know that the laws of gravity came to Newton when he's sitting under a tree and an apple fell. And what happened? Even William Shakespeare was in a lockdown when he wrote King Lear, and all the great theories and creative thinking have come to people when they are not really working. They are walking with nature, or they are thinking out of the box somewhere else, or they're having their meals or taking a shower. That is the time when creative ideas come. So children, especially growing up, need to be encouraged to have thinking time. Google as a company actually gives a half a day off to employees, which will be only their creative thinking time. They are supposed to only ideate. Even IBM does it. You are not supposed to work at that time. Half a day is your creative thinking, because they come up with superb ideas after that. So I'm going to request Atul Khosla to show us a video on the creativity that Shulini University is encouraging. And this is an experiment in water, I believe, which has been conducted beautifully by a student of Shulini, Aman. And Atul, over to you.
Thank you, Vivek. One of the experiments that we've been doing is to push our students to do almost impossible things. I'm going to show you a video of work that we've done on water purification. It's a bit of a path-breaking work. Aman, who's a student, along with her professors, who've come up with this amazing molecule that purifies water at a very, very cheap price, has been awarded the Young Water Fellow. It's a United Nations fellowship in Geneva. More than 100,000 students actually applied for it, and she got it. She's also got a 25 lakh scholarship from the Tata Trust and Lockheed Corporation. Amazing work, and the reason why I requested Vivek to bring this up is because this is the way we can actually bring in creativity into our students. We can stretch our students, and I think the students do amazingly well. Story of Aman is actually very simple. Aman joined her bachelor's and master's at Shulini. She was a bit of a troubled child, comes from Punjab, but something happened in PhD. She really got serious and has done some amazing stuff. So let me show this 1-minute video to you, and we'll be back with Vivek after that. Give me a second to bring it up. Can you guys see me?
Sound is missing in the video here.
Back to you, Vivek.
Thank you very much, Atul. It's very inspiring to learn about Aman and how she was not a very cooperative child while growing up, as you told us, and how she could become so outstanding. So, teachers and principal and others who are listening, you come across various kinds of students, and as you know, some of them are difficult, some of them are probably very intelligent but not hardworking, and some of them are so much into social media that they don't think of anything else. So, these different personalities need to be tackled with understanding, and I'm sure you are able to do that. But sometimes there are people who are not able to gel with the crowd, and they are a little different, so we need to recognize those students. And sometimes they have a great acumen for something like fine art or singing or sports, so we need to understand such children, and I'm sure your school is taking care of such children who are not maybe great at studies, but they have so much talent otherwise. But let me talk about you for a minute, teachers who are listening in. You are also going through a lot of stress. Obviously, everyone is, with the virus and the scare, and you are locked down, and you're wondering what will happen in future. And your own social media tells you lots of kinds of things which are negative at times. So my little bit of advice to everyone in this session is that perhaps it is better to take out time for ourselves and distance ourselves from technology for a while, television and phone, as much time as you can. And this is a great time to do it when you can sit alone, read a book and not be bothered. Maybe the children are around, it's okay, they come and go or whatever, but they can definitely let you be for a while when you're listening to music, when you're reading your favorite book, when you are just calm and quiet, when you're breathing in fresh air, maybe just outside your house where you're allowed, and maybe you are, in a way, just spending quality time de-stressing. It is very, very important to do that every day. Let the mind be calm and let the mind be unruffled and undisturbed. It is very, very important to develop that quality within. And as we discussed earlier, it is very important to retain that when you go through the grind, when you are into the system, when you are in back to school, when so many things are happening at the same time, and multidimensional activities are anyway a part of life. So we have to really, really try to spend quality time without artificial intelligence at that time bothering us, without telephones or television bothering us. And another tip that I'll give you before I switch to something else is that before sleeping, do not listen to the news. Do not listen to any virus updates just before sleeping. It is very important to switch off all these things half an hour or 45 minutes before you sleep and read something spiritual, read something positive, or what I do, and a lot of people may be doing similar things. I actually watch a comedy before sleeping at times. So I switch on something which is like Laurel and Hardy or old time comedy, or even Kapil Sharma will do. It is fine to laugh a little and to be spiritual before sleeping. That will give you peace of mind. It will give you inner peace. And congratulations to the school, because we have just hit 100 viewers on Zoom. And I noticed that you have completed your century. And speaking of century, the master blaster Sachin Tendulkar had his birthday yesterday. And we know that he hit 100 centuries for India in test matches and one days combined. So great greetings to him. So let us just take a bit of inspiration from Sachin Tendulkar. When he gave his retirement speech in 25 minutes at the ground in Mumbai, Wankhede, he was able to thank everybody in his life, right from his colleagues to his family, to his in-laws, to everybody else who was present or not present at the ground. And that man exemplifies for me humility, and how he must have been so much bombarded with requests, with all kinds of fans, all kinds of wanting to take selfies and this and that. And even the police and officers of a district will come with their families and their aunts and uncles and everybody wanting to click pictures. So much pressure. Even the Queen, if you look at Queen Elizabeth, recently at 90 something, she gave a speech. And that speech was after the virus was taking its impact. and she could speak so calmly. And she spoke of prayer and meditation as two of the things which we should do as human beings in this era. And she retains that old world charm. There are so many people, like even Barack Obama, if you look at it, who retains that old world charm. So leadership is something that should inspire us. The right kind of leadership, if you look at them and get inspired by them, then you are able to retain that element in you also. And as teachers, you are leaders. So children will watch you. If we spend too much time on our smartphones in the class, even messaging or whatever we are doing offline, teachers are inspiring children whatever way they are going. So the example of teachers is something that is very important for students to pick up, and they will pick up all the right things as well as wrong things. And you are also parents. So parents are those who are influencing children the most, and children often become like parents. So as I said, my wife runs a school for toddlers, and she says that whenever children are happy and healthy and cheerful, when the parents come for a PTM, even those parents are positive and happy people. And those children who are scratching and biting and hitting other children, when the parents turn up for the PTM, even they are stressed out kinds of parents. So it is very important for us as human beings to make sure that the younger generation is picking up the right values, is picking up the right examples for them to take forward, because it is not possible for them to only be learning from what we tell them. It is more important for them to see and be learning from what they observe. So on the subject of artificial intelligence, let me also tell you that it is not scary. It is not that machines will take over the world. It is not that robots will come everywhere. And even if they do, these are things which have not really mattered in lifetimes. Computers were not there when we were in school, and they are there today. They have made things possible which were not there earlier. There are so many advantages that they have brought in, technology has brought in. If this lockdown had occurred in a period when no internet was there or even no phones were there, and it did occur, let's say in 1917, we know the Spanish flu took lives, millions of lives, and people were locked down, and plagues also took so many lives earlier in history. But as I said in another session, Yuval Noah Harari, he writes that human beings will get over plague, famine, and war. In the future, Yuval Noah Harari says that life will become better and better and better. And those of you who think that it is Kali Yuga and everything is falling apart, and there are terrorists and there are bad leaders and there are so many viruses, then these are things to get out of your system. The more we think about these things, the more we attract them. You know about the law of attraction. You know, The Secret is a book that I have read, many of you have read, and you know that whatever we think, we bring upon ourselves. So the more you think about negativities, the more you draw them. And even in an era of artificial intelligence, it is important to retain that human element of cheerfulness, of positivity, of smiling at people more, of praising people more, encouraging them more, and perhaps not saying that bad word which you are thinking of saying to someone. You can keep it to yourself and not espouse it, maybe just retain it inside. So it is important for us to encourage others. It is important for us to keep them positive. And if we are spreading negative forwards or sharing negative news a lot, then we need to check ourselves. Even when the lockdown is over, there are so many people who are always complaining, who are always criticizing and being cynical. So there is no point in being cynical. In fact, my latest column, which is going to come tomorrow in the Hindustan Times, is about the realists versus the cynic. So the cynics are not people to admire. Cynics are people who think the worst, who do not believe in the best. They do not believe that anyone can be good-hearted. So it is important for them to take a reality check. And a realist is a person who recognizes a problem, who understands that there is a problem in the world, but he knows or she knows that we will get better, and there are people taking care of things. We should praise the medical forces. They are actually forces. They are at the forefront of the battle, and all year long, anyway, doctors and nurses, they take so much care to treat patients. They go out of the way, I know in PGI, for example, doctors work up to 14 hours, even on a normal regular day. And 14 hours of medical practice is not easy at all. Even educationists, we were talking yesterday, teachers are doing a great job in this era, in this time, when they are trying their best to inspire and inculcate the right values in children. And children will learn from teachers if teachers give their heart and mind and soul to their job. Our job has to be, our work has to be our love. It has to be something that passionately drives us. It cannot be something we take for granted. It cannot be something we take lightly. So it is more important for us to put our heart and soul into our work. And if we love our job, if we love teaching, if we love children and we want to meet them, we want to be spending more time with them, then obviously that day will come when we will be back in school and we will get that opportunity. So it is very important for you to retain that positivity and not be cynical, not succumb to cynicism. And as I often say, it is okay to sometimes be like that, because we are human. We can feel low, we can feel negative, we can feel scared, but that is okay once in a while. If you make a habit of it, then come out of it, bounce back as soon as you can. So it is often said that success comes from within, happiness comes from within. And we really need to make sure that we have the right temperament within. And as I'm coming to the end of my talk, I must tell you about my book. Last time when I came to your school, it was not published, but now it has been published. And this is the book. It's called Finding Success Within. It has been published just last month. And just before the lockdown, we had a book launch. And this book has 52 life skills for young Indians. It's called Finding Success Within, 52 life skills for young Indians. And even not so young Indians can also read it and share their experiences with others. I have received good reviews. I'm very proud that people are taking it happily and positively. It is available on Kindle as well as through Amazon when delivery starts. So please read it and share it with the children, Finding Success Within. So it's good to be here, and I'm going to come to your school whenever lockdown ends and whenever time permits and whenever conditions are conducive. And I'm sure that you would like to come to Shulini University one day, where research is the main platform which is emphasized and research is focused upon. I think children of your school would do very well to be into creativity and perhaps one day study at Shulini and delve into research. So over to you, Mr. Philip, to say a few remarks and maybe ask a question also.
I have a small video before that, Vivek, if you allow me. Right. So, you know, we all are in the business of inspiring young minds. And I think that is really the passion of all of us at Shulini. So we made a small video on that. I thought I would share that with you people. Hopefully this time the sound will work.
Throughout history, the young have always been the ones to shape the future. And they continue to do so today. You are the country's biggest asset, our best bet to conquer the future. So what are you waiting for? Your time to dream is now. Dream of the research that can change the world. Dream of a high-flying corporate career. Dream of higher studies in the world's best universities. Dream of developing cutting-edge technology of the future. Dream of your own global startup. At Shuri University, we empower you and enable you to chase your dreams and change the world. Think learning, think success.
Thank you. Before I hand it over to Mr. Philip, I just had 2 points to say, Vivek. I think the teachers of India are doing an amazing job. When I go and speak to schools and I go and speak to universities or colleges, and this is not just in big cities, but this is even in smaller towns, everyone is online. The children are learning. The children are kept busy. And I think that's an amazing, amazing thing. It's a revolution that has happened. Unfortunately, I don't think the media has picked it up as yet. I don't think the media has actually picked up the amazing revolution that has happened with the amazing Corona warriors, which are called teachers. So I think with that remark, I'll hand it over to you and Mr. Philip to close the day with lots of questions that our team might have. I have a couple of questions for you, but I'll first request Mr. Philip to come online and ask a few questions if he has or his remarks. And then I have a couple of questions before we call it a day.
Yes, Mr. Philip.
Thank you. I think our teachers have lots of questions. Yes, teachers, one by one, please come up.
Yes, I'm looking at the chat to see questions.
So till they, I think, write it and articulate it, I have one question for you, Vivek, and it's a little bit about the times today, and this question all my teachers ask me, especially the ladies. So they are mothers, they're sisters, they're also parents, and they also have to teach, and teaching is on. So many of them are crumbling under stress. They are being pulled in all different directions. So what's your suggestion to them? How do they cope up with this?
I think it's a great question, and it's a challenge facing all of us, but especially the ladies who have to be more multidimensional. They are looking after homes as well as work and children. And it is often said in Haryana, where I'm from originally, that the men, all they do is sit on the charpai and discuss politics and smoke hookahs. And the women work in the fields, they work in the kitchens, they look after the children. The men hardly work. So kudos to the ladies. I think it is a matter of time management and prioritization. So you really have to make your lives easier by cutting down those things which are taking too much time from your day, and prioritize those things which really matter. So often we are spending a lot of time zabardasti doing something which is not really required, and it is something which is perhaps we can cut down. It may be a phone call with a sister-in-law, which takes about 40 minutes, or normally sisters take about 1 hour. So it could be someone you like talking to, or you like gossiping with, perhaps that can be cut down. But I know that it is a tough time to balance everything. That jokes apart. I mean, all you need to do probably is prioritize, give more time to things that matter, and less time to things that don't matter.
So Priyanka has a question. She's asking, do you believe the unabated progress of artificial intelligence, will it be destructive to humanity? What's your take on this, Vivek?
Yeah, so artificial intelligence and technology is here to stay. We will not be able to stop it. And it is to be balanced out by humanity. So global leadership has to make sure that technology is not one-sided. It takes care of environment, takes care of humanity. And if it is destructive to humanity, then it has to be stemmed and checked. So if we have anything which is causing, let's say, chemicals to be emitted, or something which is destroying forests or even destroying human beings, then their leadership needs to stem in. So I think technology is here to stay. We can't stop it. We can't change it. But it needs to be balanced out with human elements. I believe a lot of questions are coming. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, Ritu is asking how to increase the concentration of students, especially when teaching online.
That's a very important question because the online method is more prevalent. As I said, blended learning is here to stay. It is possible to do so by keeping on naming them in the session. So I have noticed that in a session, if somebody is getting distracted, just name that person and say, okay, Monica, so what is your thinking about this topic? So asking more questions of them will make them alert, and when they realize that ma'am can ask anyone anything, that is one thing. The other could be that you have to talk to them offline or in the beginning of the class that, see, children, this is the new way of learning. You have to concentrate similar to what we do in the class. And I have noticed even my daughter is taking some classes for youngsters these days, Priha, and she's enjoying it. So she luckily has only 10 in her audience. But it is important to have one-to-one conversations. I can see questions, Atul.
I'll just add one thing over here,
Sure.
Vivek. We've been doing a lot of work on online education. We actually started it 4 or 5 years ago. So what's important for everyone to understand is that the human mind, apart from in a situation of entertainment or a movie, finds it extremely difficult to absorb content for more than 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. So the pedagogy and the way to teach online also has to evolve, which means, as an example, at Shulani, we don't do 1 to 1.5 hour lectures anymore. We do 25-minute lectures. And post that, we'll do a small quiz or we'll get into a smaller group and do engagement. So yes, your question is right, Ritu. How do you engage students? But you'll have to also rethink the way you've taught in the offline world. Two different worlds out there. So it's an opportunity for you to become a great actor. It's an opportunity for you to do probably experiment with things that you always wanted to. So that will be my 2 cents.
Absolutely, Atul. Absolutely. We have to adapt and change our ways. And Indu ma'am is asking how to take out negativity from the children's minds. Negativity and worry and fear are a part of a child's growth, and a child will definitely feel these at times. But to feel that all the time is what we need to combat. So we need to tell these children that life is a bigger picture. It will be fine. Don't stress yourself out, and you will perform better if you don't think of negativity. You think of success. Think of you will be achieving your goals. And if one job doesn't come or one admission in a particular college doesn't come, you'll get another one. There are a lot of opportunities. So just try and instill that motivation in them. Ruchika ma'am is asking, how can we retain the human element in the field of education? So as we've been talking, blended learning, and in the classroom, whenever you get these children in front of you and they are there, then make them feel the impact of your personality. Walk through the class, come closer to the kids, talk to them personally, and ask them if they have any fears or worries. Once you do that, then that human element, that personality will come out. Tanya ma'am is asking, is rather a comment. The point of reading spiritual books and thinking of positive things at night before sleeping was very good. Thank you. Please implement that. Priyanka ma'am is saying we are surrounded with the real world applications of artificial intelligence like Siri and Alexa. They are beneficial, but how to keep children from getting too influenced by this? Yeah. So actually it is good to have a discipline even in a lockdown phase or even later, a timetable for the kids. I know they may not listen to you, but you have to balance out your day. Tell them that this is the time when you can use Alexa, you can use social media, and this is the time when you have to play outdoors. This is the time when you have to read books and do your homework, whatever. So there has to be family discipline. Perhaps if we are disciplined as parents, children will also follow. Then we are with Deepti ma'am, who's saying what can be done to make online teaching interesting. Yeah, so as Atul said, keep it brief, keep it sharp, and retain their interest. Perhaps show a couple of videos like we did, and perhaps you can, show them some pictures, make them do some exercises, and also ask questions and ask them to speak. So if the children are speaking for 1 minute each, then everyone else also is alert that my turn is coming. That can also make it, and tell stories. Today, I didn't have too many stories to share with you, but when I came to your school, I remember I did. So keep telling anecdotes and stories. Children bullying in the online class, how to deal? They are inhabitants of cyber world. We are immigrants. So Matthew sir is saying that children bullying in the online class. I haven't heard of bullying in a class, but I've heard of online bullying, and a lot of cyber bullying takes place. They are inhabitants of the cyber world. We are immigrants. I agree with you. They were born with technology and they're growing up with technology, and we had the benefit of the pre-technology era and now the technology era. So I think it is offline that you need to talk to them one by one. If such a child is indulging in something, you need to counsel him or her separately, not in front of the class. Simran ma'am is saying, how can we learn about the psychological perspective of a particular child? Now, that is something beyond my limitations, but I can definitely say that when you talk to a child separately for 5 minutes, you will understand the child very quickly as a teacher. It is easy to understand how a child reacts to various questions or points. So once you make an assessment, you can make a note in your diary that this child is looks a little timid, looks a little shy, needs to be encouraged. So if the child is worried, for example, or is too much aggressive, then you need to make a note. So one by one, you can find out. Rubia ma'am says, thanks for everything. And Anita ma'am says, how to make children punctual for class. I think she wants to know about online classes because school obviously shuts the gate when when the child is late. So in online classes, you have to perhaps have incentives and disincentives for children who are late. If they're late, you mark them absent after 5 minutes. That's the only way that you can do it. Then Ritu ma'am is saying, you said that chips can be implanted in the human body, then don't you think they would be more of a robot and less human? Is it possible? See, wherever imagination goes, technology is bound to go, and I am quite sure that chips will be implanted in our body. I don't want to scare anybody, but this phone is a burden to carry. If it is inside your wrist, then it is easier to manage, and technologists are already working at it. Driverless cars are here to stay. So there are so many things we don't need to be scared of them. If you retain your heart, your mind, your soul, these are all human things, so you will remain a human being. And then last couple of questions, Ritu ma'am, yeah, that's done. Simran ma'am says, thank you, sir. Okay, over to you, Atul.
Thank you. I think what a wonderful set of questions. What a wonderful discourse, Vivek. Truly enjoyed it. I've heard you so many times, but this was truly brilliant. I think before we close, I'm going to request Mr. Philip to give his last thoughts, and then we can say goodbye.
Yeah, Vivek sir, there are, I think, a couple of questions in the question answer section.
Okay,
Yeah.
we missed that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'll read it out to you, Vivek.
Okay.
Right.
Ashu ma'am is asking, or Ashu sir, I don't know. Ashu is a confusing name.
Ashu madam.
Ashu ma'am, I would like to request Atray sir to give one more tip to enhance students' creativity.
All right. So I think you can enhance their creativity firstly by giving them, maybe in an online class, you can give them thinking time and ask them to come back with something which is totally wild and new. So make them think of a world in 2030, which is what are the new ideas that are going to be there in life, which we can't imagine even now. And another way is probably to give them one task or skill like music, art, or photography or writing, and come back with a project or some pictures or some poetry. So give them one assignment each on any creative field. And there are some
Ashu ma'am, I'll give one small tip over here. The web is an amazing place. Your internet is an amazing place. Give them assignments to stretch them. I'll give a small example over here. For science students, for example, ask them a question, tell us the distance between the sun and earth, and ask them to come with a calculation of that. And they can actually do that by studying it over the web and come back and present it to you. So, and this is actually a PhD problem. It's not a school problem, but they can now solve a PhD problem sitting in their homes. So I would say stretching the student will be one way in terms of pushing them towards more creativity, because then the mind will start thinking and they'll do way better than what they've done in the past.
Absolutely. Ruchika ma'am says she saw a series called Leela where they have the chip already in their arm. So that's great to know. Ashu ma'am also says that how can we refrain students from indulging in social media? So basically, parents have to discipline them, and outdoor sports is one way to do that, because children who play 1 hour outside, once the lockdown is over, they will tire themselves out and sleep on time. I often say this, that children who don't exercise physically, they remain awake till 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and that is the bad part. Sonia ma'am says, good to listen to you. How can we reduce fear from the students' mind when they're coming back to school? Yeah, it's a very important point that when children come back to school after this lockdown, they will be scared, parents will be scared, and in fact, the whole of humanity will be a little worried. So basically, follow the rules of washing hands, of carrying sanitizers, wearing masks, and social distancing will not be possible in a school. I'm quite convinced. You cannot refrain from having an assembly or something, some sports. And even in a class of 40 kids, how can you distance them? So let them come back with full confidence that we have followed all the procedures required, and the whole of the world is coming back. So don't worry. And thank you for all the compliments. I think they all go to Shulini for organizing this beautiful session. Lots of thank yous, and it's always good to meet your teachers, Mr. Philip. I remember my interactions with them, and I think some of them are connected on LinkedIn with me also. It's good to be connected on LinkedIn because it's a platform which helps you to grow and learn as well. So please be on LinkedIn if you're not.
Thank you, Mr. Vivek. See, this 45 minutes, it was a wonderful, fascinating time for me. And I don't believe all the teachers. Otherwise, while sitting in my house, I can only hear the police sirens, the scary sirens and the frightening silence around it. So, thank you very much for taking us to a different world where we are really learning and thinking about tomorrow and giving us an idea that today is not tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a bright future. So we have got a lot of positive thinking into us. Vivek, Atray, thank you very much. And Mr. Atul Khosla, I appreciate you sitting in that very hilly area in Himachal Pradesh. When I came, I've told you, I liked the surrounding very well. I hope you have no coronas there. Fine. So from there, you are coming to Rajpura and to enlighten our teachers with your ideas. Thank you very much. And looking forward to meeting you again, Vivek sir and Khosla, in collaboration with this. So thank you once again. And the others, Anurag Avasti and Shika madam. Shika madam always been with the school, and she does a lot of behind the screen work. And today also she is doing a lot of work in behind, and I cannot see her face now. So thank you, madam. And I believe before we go into the real life and come back to the school, there will be many more such sessions that to keep us alive in our fields. So once again, thank you, all of you.
We will be honored and delighted, Mr. Philip. Thank you very much. I just got some latest news. I don't know how true it is, but it looks like the government is saying schools and colleges will open around September, not July. Let's wait and watch. So more of online learning till then. And lots of power to all of you. And please be safe and have a wonderful day.
And thank you very much for the teachers who asked a lot of questions. And I think for the lack of time, many have not come out with questions. But don't suppress your questions. And if today what we are, it's because of questions that arise in someone's mind. So keep asking questions. If not today, we'll have some other platform, some other occasion to solve this problem.
Yeah.
So God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you, Mr. Philip. Thank you, teachers.